So, as in our last video, we have discussed about several important factors which are critical for a supply chain. And today we will be discussing further on that and we will be covering each topic with a example. So, the first topic will be facilities. And let us discuss something like what is the role of facilities in supply chain. So, as we know that firms can increase their responsiveness by increasing the number of facilities. And so how can they do that is they're making them more flexible or increasing capacity. So each of these actions, however, comes at a cost. Like if we increasing the number of facilities, increases facility and inventory cost, but decreases the transportation cost and reduces response time. Like if we take an example of Amazon, if there is a warehouse nearby, in any of the locality, the response time and transportation cost will be reduced. So similarly, increasing the flexibility or capacity of a facility increases the facility cost, but decreases the inventory cost and response time. Thus, each supply chain must find the appropriate trade-off when designing its facilities network. Whereas IKEA has become profitable by opening a few hundred large stores, no more than one or two per city, to grow its efficiency. In a way, everybody can come and buy it from there. It will keep all the goods at that particular storage house or a store, and they don't have to worry about shipping and all those things, as people are there who can come and select the store and then they can ship it. While if we take an example of 7-Eleven Japan, it has grown profitability by opening a high dense network of stores, often hundreds per city, to provide responsiveness. Both companies are successful because the facility decisions are aligned with the supply chain strategy. Because you can go up to a certain extent to buy your household goods like a table, chair, your whole modulation of the kitchen and everything, household activity. But for daily needs, you don't want to go to like 2-3 miles away from your house, or maybe 20-30 miles away from your house. So these are the difference between 7-Eleven Japan and IKEA. Now let me give you an example of Toyota and Honda considering this facility. So both Toyota and Honda uses facilities decision to be more responsive to their customers. These companies have an end goal actually of opening manufacturing facilities in every major market that they enter. Although there are other benefits to opening local facilities, such as protection from currency fluctuation and trade barriers, the increase in responsiveness here plays a large role in Toyota's and Honda's decision to place facilities in their local markets. The flexible Honda facilities is to assemble the SUVs and cars both together. So what it does is they will manufacture or assemble both in the same plant, allow the company to keep costs down in the downturn. While competitors' SUV production facilities are ideal, Honda facilities maintain a high level of utilization because they can assemble cars also there. So decision regarding facilities are crucial part of supply chain design. So we know that identify components of facility decisions that companies must analyze. So we will now identify, not we know, we will now identify. First is role. So firms must decide whether production facilities will be flexible, dedicated, or a combination of two. Flexible capacity can be used for many types of products, but it's often less efficient. Whereas dedicated capacity can be used only for a limited number of products, but it is more efficient. So firms must also decide whether to design a facility with a product focus or a functional focus. A product focused facility performs all functions like if you take an example of fabrications, assembly, needed for producing a single type of product. A functional focused facility performs a given set of functions like fabrication or assembly on many types of products. A product focus tend to result in more expertise about a particular type of product at the expense of functional expertise that comes from a functional methodology. For warehouse and distribution centers, firms must decide whether they will be primarily cross-docking facilities or storage facilities. At cross-docking facilities, inbound trucks from suppliers are unloaded. The product is broken into smaller lots and it's quickly loaded on into the store-bound trucks. Each store-bound truck carries a variety of products, some from each inbound truck. For storage facilities, firms must decide on the products to be stored at each facility. Now we'll discuss about a location part. So deciding where a company will locate its facilities constitutes a large part of the design of a supply chain. The basic trade-off here is whether to centralize to gain economies of scale or to decentralize to become more responsive by being closer to the customer. Companies must also consider a host of issues related to various characteristics of the local area in which the facility is situated. This includes macroeconomic factors, quality of workers, cost of facilities, availability of infrastructure, proximity to the customer, the location of that firm's other facilities, tax effects, and other strategic factors. Capacity. Companies must also determine a facility's capacity to perform its intended function or functions. So what I meant by this is a large amount of excess capacity allows the facility to respond to wide swings in the demands placed on it. Excess capacity, however, costs money and therefore can decrease efficiency. A facility with little excess capacity will likely be more efficient per unit of product it produces than one with a lot of unused capacity. The high utilization facility, however, will have difficulty responding to demand fluctuations. Therefore, a company must make a trade-off to determine the right amount of capacity to have at each of its facilities. Now, facility-related metrics. So, facility-related decisions affect both the financial performance of the firm and supply chain responsiveness to customers. That's for sure. On the financial sides, facility decisions have an impact on the cost of goods sold. Assets in PPE in facilities are owned and selling general and administrative expenses if facilities are leased. A manager should track the following facility related metrics that influence supply chain performance. I will just tell you what are those. First is capacity again. It measures the maximum amount a facility can process. Second is utilization. Measure what it will do is measure a fraction of capacity that is currently being used in the facility. What it does is it affects both the unit of cost processing, basic unit cost of processing, and associated delays. So now we'll talk about processing setup down ideal time. So measures what it does is it measures the fraction of time that the facilities was processing units, being set up to process units, unavailable because it was down, or idle because it has no unit to process. Ideally, utilization should be limited by demand and not setup or downtime. Production cost per unit, that also a metrics to be focused on. So what it does it will measure the average cost to produce a unit of output. This cost may be measured per unit, per case, per pound, depending on the product. Quality losses. Measure the fraction of compound production loss as a result of defects. Quality losses hurts both financial performance and responsiveness. Then we talk about theoretical flow, cycle of time of productions. It will measure the time required to process a unit if there is absolutely no delay at any stage. Actual average flow cycle time. It measures the actual time taken for all units to be processed over a specified duration. The duration we can think about as a week or a month. And the actual flow cycle time includes the theoretical time and any delays. And then we will talk about the flow time efficiency, the theoretical flow time to the actual average flow time. What's the ratio between this? Low values of flow time efficiency indicate that there are a large fraction of time is spent waiting. Okay, product variety. It also depends on what product family are processed in the facilities, what is the processing cost, what is the flow times, and other things. Volume contribution to top 20% SKUs and customers. So it measures the total volume processed by the facilities that comes from the top 20% of customers. A 80-20 outcome is in which 20% contribute to the 80% of the volume. Indicates likely the benefits from focusing the facility to so separate process are used to process the top 20%. And average production batch size measures the average amount produced in each production batch. Okay, then talking about the production service level, you know the service level needs to be maintained. What it does is it needs to be maintained with the service level agreement. Like if your girlfriend calls you, you have to pick it up in 10 seconds or it's over. That is called a service level agreement that you need to specify, you need to repair the product in a particular amount of time. Otherwise, it's a violation. So this is it for the facility part. We'll talk about inventory in our next topic. And I guess if you are liking the videos, I know there are some here and there which voice breaking and all. I am trying to fix that. I just want you guys to be regular. And I hope somewhere down the line in US, Mexico, India, anywhere, a supply chain enthusiast is listening to this. And I just hope so. Everything is good. Please like, do give it a like. I don't know if you are subscribed or not, but I do give it a like if you have if you have been here, a like has to be done. That's it. And if you have any issues you are not going to like, please comment so that I just get to know what is the issue there. Thank you.